Welcome back to Lucore Automotive Services. Today we're working on a little race truck, Square Body S10. Pretty nice truck. Got to put a bump steer kit on it and get it aligned, make it go in a straight line. Should be fun. You want to see what I'm going to do with this thing? Stick around. It's not easy to get out of. Just forget how small these are. It's a great little truck, man. Tall ball joints, that's good. Very nice. That's not bad. $190. S10 Blazer bump steer kit. For use with stock type steering and TRZ spindles. TRZ Motorsports, Kissimmee, Florida. Nice stuff. That's a lefty. I'm used to seeing the lefties have the grease zerts on the ends, not in the caps. What are you laughing at?
Whoa! That's the big one!
That's a big huffer.
Oh! Wow! I thought this was a twin turbo truck. Apparently not.
Clearly not. Not gonna spin two of those.
No. Yeah, like these spools at 6,000 RPMs. Wow, okay.
Oh my god, it is huge. Yeah. Like I saw it like sticking
Big
to the hood,
turbo
and I was like,
wheel.
oh, that's probably like a 72 millimeter.
No.
That's like
That's like 100 millimeter.
It's big. It's a big boat.
That's a big turbo.
John doesn't mess around when he builds himself race stuff.
Apparently not.
His Nova was pretty BA too, but I haven't seen his Nova in a while. I don't know if he still has that or not.
It's a full interior car.
And it's
No,
steel.
it doesn't have carpet.
It doesn't have carpet.
But yeah, he likes stuff to look as good as it runs. These look really long. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes, they do.
Although normally the other rod end's probably that long with a sleeve, so it's about right. It just aesthetically it
Seems huge.
It seems huge. lot of down travel with that shock setup. That could be improved on. Ooh, didn't make adjusting caster and camber very easy. Dirty rat. There's a header in my way of my alignment stuff. Oh, smell the corn. And we've got a nail in her. Whatever works. I probably don't need to drill these. These are the TRZ knuckles. Oh, come on.
Hey, you working prostitute?
Yep.
Needing a tire fix. There you go.
That probably makes more sense. And that explains why these are longer than the factory ones, because they're going to a much further place. Let's see if my theory is true. Please. There she is. That guy's tight. This guy's tight. I will need to tow both of these guys out. Probably. My center line is right there. Let's make sure we are on center, but I can do that on the alignment rack. My alignment rack's free, so let's move over there. Let's get this thing on the alignment rack. The engine sits off center in the center line of the car because steering shaft placement. Okay. Wow, she really toes in. Farther out. come in anymore. It's pretty close, within a couple mil. Let me read some directions, because this isn't working out right. So I keep trying different things with this, and I keep not getting the solution I'm looking for. And I'm looking at these lower control arms, and my pivot point for the compressor. My pivot point for my lower control arm is below this joint. My pivot point for the lower control arm out here is above this point, so they're actually crisscrossing. So I'm going to call TRZ and ask them for a little input. I looked on their website and they have some directions, but they didn't help me. Probably because this is a mixture of, I don't know whose lower control arms. It may end up requiring a inner rod end that has a bend in it to go around the frame, or the frame will need to be relieved with the mounting point above the knuckle. So that's where figuring out race car stuff becomes complicated. He also asked about notching the frame so that the oil pan could be removed without removing the engine, and the engine has to be removed to make that notch. So either way, the engine's going to have to come out for that solution, or it should have been notched before the engine was put in. That's a hindsight thing. People have to think about what they're going to be doing and how they're going to be servicing the vehicle after the fact. Looks like they drilled the front cover for oil returns. This oil pan actually has an oil return on each side, but that's also blocked by the frame, so had they clearanced the frame for that, they could have saved the machining process on the front cover and just utilized the ones on the oil pan. So, whatever. It's a different method to get the same final effect. Let's go make a phone call. So I'm thinking we have a mismatch of parts. What I'm trying to match up is the imaginary line between this pivot point and this pivot point with the imaginary line between this pivot point and this pivot point. And no matter where I put it, I'm not getting a good result. Like right now, this thing is a canoe and it tows out 6 degrees, which is a ton. So I'll switch them back to the bottom side, and I don't think it's going to be any better. Might be better. We'll see. Let me do that. I've pretty much wasted as much time as I'm going to on this because I think the control arm and knuckle combination aren't going to work. I think the knuckle is right where I need my tie rod end to be. I have a call into TRZ who made these knuckles and this bump steer kit, and I'm going to talk to them about the combination with these control arms to figure out what the right recipe is. So I'll switch these one more time and see what the measurement is, and then we'll go from there. We've got plenty of caster. This thing's got like 8 degrees of caster, so we ought to track really well once we get the toe under control. So now I'm out of adjustment on these guys. Because I'm binding on the threads, on the left-hand threads. I'm at just under 2 degrees negative toe. So I can't adjust my toe in anymore. I can't take my camber out anymore because I'm already into the frame. So the upper control arm could be part of my problem. But now with my rod ends on the bottom of the knuckle, when I lift, I toe in. I started at 2 negative, now I'm at 2 positive, so I toe in 4 degrees. So this mixture of components is not going to work. So we got to figure out what the right recipe is to make this work. Clearly this is not it. Sometimes that's how it goes. So I'm going to get the toe as close as I can so this guy can take this home while we figure out how we're going to find a solution. Because that's all you can do. I did get a hold of a guy when I called the first time, but he was not knowledgeable enough to answer my questions. So their tech assistant is supposed to call me back today. Hopefully they will, and I'll talk to them, and we'll probably find out we need to use different upper and lower control arms with their knuckle and bump steer kit. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So the story on this truck does not end here. We are going to do a little more work on it this afternoon. I spoke with John, the owner of this vehicle, and got a little more information about the components that are installed on it. I also spoke with a couple of guys at TRZ Motorsports who made the suspension components for the front of this truck. The issue I'm having is where I need my control arm to be parallel with the lower control arm is right where the steering arm is. This truck is currently set up with nearly 9 degrees of caster, so I'm going to manipulate my caster and camber to change my arm position so that I can mount my tie rod end where I need it to be. This thing's showing currently some negative camber, which I'm going to try to go to positive, basically zero camber, stand my wheels straight up and down. And then I'm going to actually reduce the caster because this one has nearly 9 degrees of caster. I'm going to try and target for 8 degrees of caster. And with those readings, I should be pretty close to where I need to be to just do a quick shim on my tie rod ends to get the dimensions I want. I was also running into an issue with the tie rod ends being too long, and there's a very simple solution to that. The inner tie rod ends are way longer than they need to be. They can be cut down up to 2 or 3 inches if need be. So these arms are a really nice setup for probably a lot of different stuff. You could use them on pretty much any A body, any G body, or an S10 because they're all basically the same design. But with that, let me get the wheels off this thing because these upper control arms are completely adjustable with screw-in heim joints. It'll probably take me a couple times with the wheels on and off this to get the control arms where I want them to be, but it'll be worth it in the end. It's just going to take some time. I also need to check my ride height. Because after thinking about this truck a bit, my engine is offset to the right side in the engine bay a good amount. So this truck's going to carry a lot more weight on the passenger side than the driver's side. So I need to check my ride height after I make my upper control arm adjustments and make sure that my ride height is where it needs to be so that the car is square. Lots of little things to think about on this one. Extra added items, so to speak. All right, so you can see I have the upper control arm off. You can see it's fully adjustable. These are TRZ Motorsports control arms, uppers and lowers. The uppers are fully adjustable. Somebody initially set this up with some shims. I'm actually going to remove the shims and mount the bar directly to the frame. That way, if this vehicle's ever taken apart, put back together, they don't have to worry about mixing up their shims for their alignment. They just, you take it apart, you put it back together. It's the same as what it was before. It's the same after. So I'm going to pull these shims out. I'm actually going to cut this bolt down because it looks to be trying to occupy the same space as this header. So I'll pull it out, I'll cut it down. That way there's clearance there. And since I have the adjustability here, it allows me to not need that bolt anyway. So I'm going to pull these bolts out, pull the shims out, and then I'm going to adjust my uppers, and then I'll put it all back together, take a measurement, see where I'm at. If I need to change it more, then, and I probably will, then I'll take the wheel off, I'll make some more adjustments to these. Basically, this adjustment up here mostly adjusts your caster, and it makes a small amount of adjustment to your camber. This one here mostly adjusts your caster, and it can change the camber a little bit, but it doesn't change it much. If you move them both the same amounts in or out, it only adjusts your camber. So we had negative camber, so the wheel was leaning in, and we had a lot of caster, so I'm actually going to turn the forward heim joint out to take my camber more positive, and I'm going to turn my rear eyelet in to reduce, no, I'm going to turn it out to increase my caster, because that'll move the upper ball joint forward and out, changing my caster and camber. So let's get after it. These bolts from the factory are usually splined. On this truck, that looks to have been changed, which is fine. Oh, gravity. Got an 1/8 inch shim in the back, which will actually take my caster farther negative. Got an 1/8 inch shim in the front, which is going to take my camber towards positive. Nice billet cross shaft, nice and light. Even had reliefs put into it to make it even lighter. Yeah, this was a splined one at one time. So camber needs to go out. So we're going to go 1.5 turns there. Caster needs to come in to take the upper ball joint back. So we're going to go 2 turns in there. And then we'll do the same on the other side. So I've re-racked the truck. My caster's pretty close to 8 degrees. I'm going to tweak it a little bit, but my camber went way farther than I expected it to. So I'm going to take the front control arm eyelets and turn them in a turn. We'll see where that puts me, and then we'll dial in our toe. I'm going to go ahead and pull the inner tie rod ends off. I'm going to cut 1 inch off of each one of them, clean up the threads, and then reinstall those, because that will allow me to get my toe in or out where I need it to be, because I'm still towed out too far and I'm turned all the way in. So I'll modify those a little bit so that those will fit correctly. That's the next step. Do it again. I screwed that all up. So, I went the wrong way on that upper. This side's closer. I'm going to take some more positive camber out of it because I went too far. But it's getting closer. We'll do it again. I could probably do camber with the wheels on. The caster's a little trickier. Just a mess today, doing things wrong. Ouch. That's all right. Let's see where that gets us. Ooh, I think we're going to get our camera to come in with our caster adjustments on the driver's side. Let's see where that ends up. I'll put another turn in the back. And I'll take some out of the passenger side while we're at it. Coming right back at you. So I decided I'm going to cut probably 1 inch off the inner tie rod end on each side. That'll give me my proper thread engagement and my ability to get my tie rod end to a length that's in the adjustable range so that I can set my toe properly. I've already loosened up the castle nuts. It's just a matter of popping them loose. Taking them out and cutting them down. If I ever decide to do a bump steer kit on my Buick, this will probably be the kit I do it with. It's a nice kit. Now that is a little bit of a problem, so I'm going to have to turn the wheel all the way across, which will sweep this forward so that the tie rod end will come out. Gravity. So I have plenty of thread contact. Take off about yay much. That'll do what we need to do. Oh, good Lord. I gotta do that one more time. I don't want to admit how many times I've had this thing up and down today. It's been a lot. My hands are cramping. But I'm at the desired 8 degrees caster. I'm within 0.2 of a degree on camber, but I need to change those and make those even. And I'll do that right now because then I can walk away from this thing. Then all I have to do is come in and set the toe on Monday morning. And this thing will be done. This one definitely kicked my hiney a little bit. Making the adjustments on those upper control arms is tedious and time consuming, but in the end it's a really good way to set up one of these race trucks, race cars. I probably wouldn't adjust it that way if the vehicle had inner fender wells. The fact that this one does not have inner fender wells makes it really easy to adjust these heim joints on the upper control arms. In a inner fender well car, I would probably just have done it with the shims. But again, there's so much stuff in the way on this one. Doing it in the shims, with shims on that side would be extremely painful. But it is what it is. It's a race car. It's always got to cut and modify and change. Make stuff work. Ooh, that's within 1/10 of a degree. Let's sweep our caster and see if it's all good. So she tows in a little over 3 degrees, which is not optimal, but I am not able to do anything better than that without machining these TRZ steering arms, because this needs to be higher. And I don't want to take away any more caster to make that happen, because or give it more I guess I could give it more caster and it would put it into a different place, but 8 degrees caster is plenty for the straight line drag. And I don't think I'm going to get enough anyway. So that's what it is. Not bad. A lot of time. Well, that's about it for this session on the alignment rack. We're going to wrap this thing up, lock it down, give it back to the customer. He'll give us some feedback on how he thinks it handles, and then we'll make some adjustments from there. Race cars are a never-ending project. You will always be working on them. You will always be making changes to them. That's just the way it is. But it's a lot of fun. At any rate, you guys have a great day. Stay safe out there. Click like, sub, comment, all that stuff. We appreciate you. Have a good one.